All right, ladies and gents, welcome to a super open map. Like a really open map. You're probably no stranger to it if you like to play Arabia or something, but over the past couple months, there's been all these different versions of this map. We had tournament versions, we had the dev versions, and that's been changing too. This map gen is extremely open, and we're going to have a very aggressive game here. In the blue, we have Ozone, really cool guy. Hangs around our community quite frequently, around 2K player, and is really motivated to improve. And then here in the red, we have Cello. And forgive me, but I actually forget if he has noticed something else. It is quite common in the competitive community to have people who have different accounts. But if I'm not wrong, I believe this player is maybe Argentinian, something like that. And he's playing as the Lithuanians. The map is Arabia. Arabia is preferred by a lot of high-level players because there's a lot of things you can do. And this game will have a lot of variety in it on a lot of talking points. And you know me, I like to talk, so it'll be a perfect game for that reason. So, for right off the bat here, I want to talk a lot in this game about the Civ differences, because the Civ differences affect how they play it on their side, but how they address the enemy too. And so let's talk about that. We'll start off with the Lithuanian player here. Lithuanians have 150 extra food at the start. And so you can send villagers away from food or away from your TC like Red did rather early because you don't need to have that much food income at the start. So what Red did was he sent 3 to wood kind of right away. And so he's now ahead with the wood chopping. It's a little unique for him to do that. It's not something that's too common on maps where you can't immediately benefit from getting that wood. But maybe he does want to go for an early barracks. Maybe he wants an earlier mill. We will see. But that is the big thing right now about the Lithuanians. That is their start. For Burmese, I think they are one of the worst 1v1 Arabia civs right now. And I say that because of their mid-game where we'll have more conversations. On paper, they are a very good civilization for open maps if they can go for man-at-arms. They get +1 attack on their infantry per age. So that gives them one of the best man-at-arm rushes. And with man-at-arm play, it's often very difficult to afford the militia out of the barracks and the man-at-arm upgrade, and your wood upgrade, and your farm upgrade. So, Burmese get the wood upgrade for free. So what that means is you can actually get that farm upgrade, so you can have lots of food on your farms behind the man-at-arm build. So it's not bad. At the moment, that does not look like it's the plan for Ozone. Is he... Like, one of his best wood lines has a freaking pond in it. Yes, he does have this forward, but who wants to go forward? Another bonus, which is nice for this civilization, is that you can see where the relics are located. And where the relics are is normally where the enemy's not going to be. So it's fairly easy to figure out where they're at. And that's exactly what has happened here for Ozone as he's come forward. And wow, Red is being super greedy. Starts with +150 food. And is also now pushing in all of his extra food. So we could have a really fast uptime here. And guys, this is... I watched through this game. This is a really sick build from Red. Like, this is honestly insane. I'd say the fastest man-at-arm build you typically see would maybe be like a Civ with early eco bonuses like Japanese. And the fastest is 20 pop, right? 20 pop is the fastest that you normally see. But the way he did this, so 3 on wood is not the standard thing for man-at-arms, but he went 3 on wood rather early, right? So it just adds up so he could make the mill at the proper time. He's then going to have all this food. And he's making his barracks already. And this is before the 7-minute mark, and he's on his way to feudal. So this is pretty sick. Bulgarians can do 18 pop. I've yet to see an 18 pop build that actually had good eco associated with it, Arbase. You could, in theory, do a little faster. But I'm talking like good, healthy eco where you can get everything. Now, he does have to send some more villagers to gold, so that's something he's going to have to work on. But we look over here now at Ozone's base. And Ozone did a quick run around, and there's pros and cons here to Ozone's situation, right? So he saw the mill, and if you see the mill at the time that he was here, you know that it's not going to be a pre-milled rush. But what he didn't do was look at the gold. What he didn't do was stick around to see if there's a barracks. So he's pushing in a little bit of extra food, and Ozone, with no barracks yet, has shown me that he wants to go for scout play. And he will likely be surprised by this man-at-arm play from Lithuanians. Scout's not at all a bad build if you get those eco upgrades for free. And use your mobility, but there's other things to talk about. All right, let's see. He's going to get lucky here. He's going to get lucky. He's still trying to push in the zebra. He's going to see the militia now. And so if he sees that, that can tell him he either needs a full wall here, which I think would be punished, or he needs a small wall. And this is kind of our meta right now. Is a lot of small walls. I kind of want to make a video where I talk about all the wall nerfs that have been made. Essentially, it's at a point now where competitively, as you see these scouts engage against each other here, Ozone should really fight this off. Yeah, he's got more HP. But anyways, at this point, there's been 5 wall nerfs in 2 years. And so it's really hard at a competitive level to get full walls down before men-at-arms arrive. And so it's always a small wall game. And then that leads to archers. So what you're going to want to see from red is, the meta is you add an archer and you add a spearman here. You need to have a spearman to protect. We'll see if he does that. And here he is attacking the walls right now. A bit of idle time for Ozone, but not too bad. These villagers need to get back to work. These villagers are going to wall up. And now he adds his stable. So this is where decision-making comes in. And oh no! Ozone! Oh god, this is a disaster for him. This is what a proper man-at-arm timing can do. I say proper. This was quick, right? He's going to go in here and doink! Get a little doinker. Honestly, could have been worse for Ozone. This is why you still want to have those straggler trees around. He does end up killing the scout as well, but... And obviously not the start that he would want. Also, did not get that farm upgrade. There it is. Wood upgrade's been free, you can tell. And he's going to get those farms down now with all that wood. Now, again, he's got it. This is high-pressure stuff. This is anxiety-inducing, even if you're watching. You've got to finish that wall here. This is, like, scouts now, it's like, takes so long to mass the proper amount of scouts to do damage. And this is what you have. Now, the reason, guys, the reason you go with the spearman is because these scouts could snipe an individual archer, right? So you want to have that spearman there. And I think what I would do in this position is I would... Like, it hasn't arrived to my base yet. So I would probably wait with 4 scouts, because 4 scouts could engage against the spear and 2 archers. But he's going out for some counterattack. Of course, you never know. Like, they could always have 2 spears, and then you waiting is kind of a concern. But very competitive game so far. Very strong opening for Cello. And we now have a range for Ozone. And this is probably a good time to bring up that Burmese, as he takes out the spearman here. That's a big deal. Burmese do not get the 2nd and 3rd armor upgrade for their archer units. So one of the best units to go for against Burmese is a lot of archers. And you're going to see these archers meet up now with man-at-arms. So again, if he had those scouts, like he hasn't got any value, you can tell he's doing stuff at home. If he had the scouts, he would have engaged against that. Even if the spearman was still alive, I think just fine. It's not necessarily bad to try and get some counter damage in, but he's getting whittled down here. And now he brings the scouts back anyways. And this is, like, Ozone's a young, top couple hundred player. I played against him a bunch. Like, these are the small things. This is what separates the big boys from the rest, right? Like Red's build order is absolutely sublime here. He kills 5 villagers, but I think Ozone will look back and think that this could have been dealt with. And now Red's like, okay, I've got a lead. Let's wall up. So you can see he's walling up. He sees the scouts here too, which is actually kind of a good sign for him, because he knows they're not going to be coming to his base. So a little bit of early damage. A lot of early damage. It's very uncommon, I'd say, to get that much output. And now Ozone's got to think about a counter. So he's going to go with a lot of military. He has his scouts. He'll have archers. Archers, in theory, can take out the spearmen. Now, Red, with faster spearmen with Lithuanians, could have maybe had his spearmen in that fight. Couldn't get them there quite in time. You're going to see Red looking. He's like, okay, is this open? Is this open? He's going to think about walling that. And interesting to note, I said that Red's man-at-arm play was behind eco upgrades. He didn't actually get the wood upgrade. I didn't realize that till now. I wasn't really focusing on the build order and like those specifics, so I think he could have pulled it off, to be honest. And he's a little torn on how he wants to do his walls, right? He walled him towards the TC here. I guess he didn't know about this wood line. Now he wants to protect the gold. So it is awkward for him. But a nice little competitive game here. And it's so cool to me. Like, I love casting these games. And I feel like a lot of people out there... I mean, a lot of you who are watching my content do like the very high-level stuff, right? Like the top 5, top 10. That is amazing to watch. But also at the same time, sometimes mistakes are so punishing for those top 5 or top 10 that it's like, okay, this game's over. Right? Ozone loses 5 vills. That a lot of times in big events, you're just like, okay, this is over now. But Ozone's making a lot of military here. He's got 6 scouts. He's got 2 ranges now producing army. And I think what's important is the more pressure you apply, the more villagers get pulled off of resources to wall, the more villagers you could potentially kill. And I mean, Red's food eco isn't that good right now. You can tell he's had some balance issues while he was focused on the micro. He's got 13 on gold right now. So 13 on gold normally for me leads to some type of a market. You can buy the food. Whereas for Ozone, he's had horse color. He still has his berries. And what you do is you send your villagers to the stragglers and you pull them off the stragglers and just farm around the TC. So he's going to be in a good spot. One of the changes I think was so good balance-wise in recent patches was that they made houses in Dark Age weaker. I really like that. I forget how much weaker they made them, but look at this pressure here from Ozone. Actually threatening the enemy behind those walls. And I like this from Ozone because he hits one area, forces a reaction. He hits the next area, forces a reaction. Now he's looking around to do more damage. It does not seem like he's going to get the damage done. Okay, Red, are you going to sense the fact you need to mark it here, buddy? He's going to go for a tower. I really think Red... This is what happens sometimes when you're too defensive, right? Because I don't think this tower is hugely necessary, but he's worried, right? And it's hard to judge every situation properly, and as games go on, you're going to have some moments where you freak out. And when it comes to a tower, it's like sometimes it's a do-or-die situation. I personally feel like with the range unit numbers, he could have held without one. That said, it's a lot for Ozone, and we should be seeing a market at some point. Yep. I don't actually think he needed the market, but he's got 11 on gold, and he probably feels like he's behind. So he's going to want to use that. I think in Red's case, he could have used the market a while ago. He's just going to bank that gold up for other things. And he tried to drop off his food there a second ago to go up. He's going to do it here in a sec. And now here comes Ozone. He comes right back to the hill, and he continues to pressure Red. And what are the archer numbers looking like? Here you've got 11. Here you've got 12. So these scouts are weak, right? I do think it would just be become a bit of a micro battle. But good recovery from Ozone, and now we have to start thinking about how do Burmese play out. So they do get crossbow. However, they don't get the second armor. They don't get the third armor. Now, the big thing when it comes to skirmishers, guys, is you want to have the armor. So crossbow does 7 attack with full upgrades in the Castle Age. Skirms with 1 armor. I think they've got 5 pierce, which means a crossbow does 2 damage. Wow, Red is completely scared right now. Like, I think there's been 2 recent instances where he's kind of misjudged the situation. But you have to credit Ozone because Ozone is the one pressuring, which has led to this. Much like you saw some losses for Ozone earlier due to Red's pressure on his side. But yeah, anyway, so long story short, you really don't want to be making ranged units with Burmese because the opponent will have stronger ranged units. And if your number 1 unit is a skirmisher against ranged units, skirms don't even do that well against crossbow numbers. So Ozone's going to want to think about something else. But you got to get good value from this army still, you'd feel. And you can see he's microing. Good micro from both. Ozone's actually got really good ranged unit micro. Nowadays, it feels like everyone does once they figure out the attack move. And okay. So behind this, we've got Tower on the gold just in case for Ozone. He's gone 3 ranges, so he's really committing to range units. But he gets that wood upgrade for free. What I love to do here is I love to get the farm upgrade then. Normally, with any other civ, you research the wood upgrade. Don't have to here. Try and plan towards the farm upgrade then. It's hard to get both usually. He's making a university. So he is going to still try and play this game and rush ballistics out. And I like this from Red. He was thinking about it earlier too, just really trying to block this army in here. And Ozone sees the opponent, now has the upgrades, and is now going to back away. Okay, so, you know, you look at Cello's position. Cello, he has the armor coming in. So, like, this is, both players understand the situations that they're in. For Ozone, he's thinking, I might need more numbers and faster ballistics, so he's going to do that so he doesn't miss the shots. For Red, he's thinking, I just need more upgrades. But this is really showing how if you don't have a strong follow-up to an early attack, good players are going to punish you. And now Red's doing a lot of reacting right now. The ballistics does hit at the proper time as well, so a few more villagers go down because of that. Ozone kills 3 villagers, and the total KD there economically is pretty even. Also, worker efficiency last minute is just in the toilet for Red. I do think, like, if you look at a 2K2 player in Red's position earlier, they never make this tower. They never struggle with this army. It's a completely different spot. We've seen why Red is 2K with a crazy opening. But you're starting to see some imbalances now. And just a little bit of reactiveness, which is why I think, you know, he's currently stuck where he's at. It's really heavy commitment for Ozone. Like, this is crazy. And I don't know if this is necessarily a play or not. But he's got tons of crossbows right now. So he's like, okay, I can't get the second armor. But I've got tons of crossbows. Let's go. Both players thinking army, 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 as we now have ballistics. So here comes Red. Now, what I don't like about Ozone is how he had control and then he just kind of left. Right? So now, like, what could happen is, granted, he could use the siege at home and then still run forward. But, like, this could get value for Red. Or I think Red would still be at home if that crossbow army was running forward. Ozone had it. He was dictating the pace of the game. Take a shot every time I say that while I'm casting high-level Age of Empires. And now he's not going to be able to track, and crossbows with ballistics are going to hit this wood line. And we could have a bit of a base trade, actually, because I think we're going to see Ozone hit at the same time. Let's see. Ozone earlier, when he had his scouts running forward, ran home. A Red here should realize there's a wood line there, but he tries to click behind. And, okay, Ozone sees this. Now, he does have siege at home. Obviously, the siege is not close by, though. And let's see if Ozone realizes this is his time to go forward. Look at him dodging the shots. He's bringing his siege back, and this is so good from him. A lot of players would run home. But he said, no. I've taken losses. I need to make sure I push my opponent here. And, man, does he have a lot of crossbows. Great job from Red. I'm going to look over now at the idle TC and Eco. It's really good from both players. And something we didn't bring up about Lithuanians is that they have faster moving skirms. And even later on, they have really strong skirmishers if you get the unique tech. So playing into skirms is not bad. I don't like playing into skirms, though, when the opponent has siege. I don't think that's ever a good play. And this is just... Oh, God! This is so disgusting! But then, look, the crossbows come in, and I missed it here. We're going to go back and show you the shot, because otherwise you guys are going to unsubscribe. So Red comes in, right? He's hoping the Mangonel's out of position. It's a decent shot the first time around. Red sees it. It's a great shot the second time around, but also a good split from Red. Nice little recovery there. As he can still pressure here a little bit, but Ozone will add more. Ozone looking to push in. Red did add a siege workshop, but he's taking an engagement here before he has the numbers he needs. Also, no garrison in the tower is hurting him. And Ozone has brought this game back. He doesn't have the eco lead, actually. So he's behind when it comes to that, but he seems like he's in a pretty good spot. This is really going to come down to execution on the siege and crossbow numbers, though, because there's a massive lead for Ozone at the moment. But that could all change. The tower could hurt. You see the villagers coming forward to repair. And that one goes down. This one now is getting hit by the tower as well. Villagers out of position. And now Ozone is trapped. And now there's skirms with full armor. Granted, Red is still in trouble here. He needs to block this off. Oh, God. This is so nuts, man. This is so nuts. This is what Ozone can see. And now he's like, oh, boy. I'm a little trapped in here. I don't know about 4 skirmishers, though. I guess he's got 7 on the map. Not sure about that, but it's crazy. We didn't even see a second TC yet from either player. We see it now on the forward area here for Ozone. So, Red, you need to pounce on this, though. You need to pounce on this before he escapes. If he gets a big shot on these crossbows, suddenly he's feeling better again. It looks like Ozone is going to be able to make his way out. And, again, a little sloppy, I think, because you're really seeing now, like, they had great control over their armies. But you can tell, okay, they're adding TCs. We've got a TC here. Kind of hate the TC spot, to be honest. Maybe he doesn't know that wood line exists. Yep, hasn't scouted it. Love the TCs for Ozone. This one, maybe not so much. But he doesn't have anything in the back. This one's a perfect town center. I love this forward position as well. It really makes Red hesitant about moving out ever. And we have a really good competitive Age of Empires 2 game here. Like, this is really good. But what's so interesting about Ozone and how he's played this, as Red's micro, again, just stellar, is that he's played into crossbow, which I think you could always see as a weakness. But the way he approached the game as Red again out-micros him was I think, pretty smart. He went for both eco upgrades. And then he went for 3 ranges and the siege. So he's like, okay, my units are kind of... I'm worse off when it comes to my unit options, so I'm going to make a few more. And that's something we'll be talking about more an upcoming cast. There's other examples I can kind of give you. And for those watching here on the stream, you're going to see a very different but similar example, I guess, when it comes to that. It's weird, though, because Burmese don't really have any particular bonuses about like cheaper units. Like cheaper but weaker is nothing for them. It's just free wood upgrades, you know? And what you are good at with Burmese is infantry and cav. They actually have a unique tech that makes their light cav better against the archer line, which I personally think needs to be swapped with Halda. We'll talk about that more later. A good micro there from Ozone, and it's a very close game. Red finally able to push back past the siege workshop. I think both of these players have been 2100 elo. People are asking. They normally hover around 2k 2050. But to credit to these players, I think both of these guys have been 2k1. I don't think if they've ever been quite 2k2. Maybe they've like peaked there and fell back down. But like Cello, he's got long-term unit comp things to think about as well. Because Lithuanians, while they have really good skirms, they don't get Arbalest. So you can see now, Red's like, okay, I don't get Arbalest, but I've made ranged units, and I want to continue to make ranged units against the opponent because of their weaknesses. So what we're seeing here, as well, okay, maybe it was an incredible micro for Red, is we're going to see Cav Archers behind this. The Cav Archers are pretty good with Lithuanians. It's not their best option ever, but I think they get close to full upgrades, and Cav Archers are a very tanky, very mobile unit. And now, of course, like, this is the timing where you're going to see Ozone drop stables. Because all he's seeing right now is skirmishers. And a couple knights out there would do good against those skirms. And, of course, there's speedy skirms, too. So it's not like siege can work all the time as you see the skirms somehow get out of here. Little army here from Red. You'd be surprised what damage you can do with that if you find a wood line. We don't have any relics collected. 62 kills versus 60 right now. And I think one thing that Red is kind of struggling with as he's tech switching is army tracking. He doesn't seem to expect anything over here. He's sending Vils out there, but the timing might work out for him. Because these crossbows are going to come in. It's almost like, okay, Ozone, okay, he accidentally attacks the house. Hate it when that happens. Yeah, Red is actually going to be okay here if he reacts right now. He's losing a few villagers. Oh, he's microing here. He's got the Cav Archers on the siege. This is all important. He's got to micro everything, so he hasn't reacted here, guys. Now, he's also on Ozone's woodline at the same time, so they can't look everywhere at once. And overall, I think this benefits Ozone, at least economically. But he does now lose his siege, and now he needs some response here in the middle. Still, though, Red took some heavy losses there, and now he's going to lose more. Here come the Knights from Ozone. However, the Knights from Ozone are not going to be good enough on their own, and this monk was sent to a relic. And I guess the Cav Archers just... No, they're going to kill him. What? Kill the monk! Kill the old man! Don't clip me out of context, please. Okay, he needs to die. Yeah, old man dead. That's good. Now, Ozone, with his superior economy, has just researched chain barding armor. So now he's got a lot of armor here. And I don't consider this to be the number of Cav Archers you would really want. If you've got 6 knights, you're going to want a lot more than just 6 Cav Archers, and he's massing more. I think what Red really needed here was to track this army, maybe have the skirms over here, and just fall back into CA. Now, another reason that Ozone's ahead is because Ozone's been on 3 TCs. So, economically, he is the better Eco KD, but he's had 3 town centers pumping. And he's got pretty good army composition right now. At least towards his strengths, anyways, with the Burmese. They don't really have like anything super special with their Cavalier, but they have good economy, and they do get full upgrades on their Cavalier at least. So Red's imping right now. So I talk about this a lot. From a normal 3 TC perspective, let's say Ozone goes imp. That means one of his TCs is not producing Vils for 2.5 minutes. So for Red right now, he's behind in Vils. But he has 1 TC producing vills out of his 2 because this one's imping. So it's like when you fall behind, you see it a lot with like Fast Imp Arbalest. You need to get that range advantage. And he's thinking that maybe because Burmese have really bad skirmishers, he can just go Cav Archers this game. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad play. And so he's fallen back for now. He doesn't want to leave his base just yet because he doesn't want to lose this army. And for having 70 villagers versus 104, his eco balance is actually really, really good. He's got enough archer ranges pumping out Cav Archers. He's got the Q. He has a solid number of CA. He's going to have the food to research Bracer. Probably with a little bit of market shenanigans can get chemistry. And this is kind of an all-in for Ozone. So Ozone's like, he produced a lot of stuff here, 20 knights. And he's trying to break in right now. And the CA are going to get some valuable kills. And look at these knights. And now Ozone's like, oh crap, I'm not up yet. And 3 minutes for him, but he's going to have to start to think about how you play defensive now. So yeah, that's another TC on the gold. That's interesting. I'd prefer you save your stone at this time and start getting castles on hills. But there's a key difference with how these armies operate right now, okay? Something like a knight, it packs a lot of punches when spread out, right? So you can now say you have 20 knights. If you send 3 here, 3 here, 3 here, and what's the math? 11 in the middle. That's pretty good. You can kill a lot of villagers with that. You can't do the same thing with Cav Archers. Cav Archers are all about a big death ball that you can't address. So for Red, as he sees this army here, and he really needs to start getting some kills, he has to always control the game. And if he's not controlling the game, that means he's not attacking, because you gotta force Ozone to address this. But he's scared right now, and I think he's too hesitant. I'm not sure why. He's getting heavy Cav Archer. And yeah, the only upgrade they really miss is Parthian, so they miss a little bit of armor, but they get all the attack. Still a lot of armor from the blacksmith. Maybe that's what he was waiting for. I think, like, there were moments in the game where I'm critical, and I want these players to improve, right? So this is something that I'll talk about because they might watch in the future. Definitely an area where Red needs to push a lot harder, right? Like, dive in, find army, find Vill kills. You need to be as aggressive as possible here. It doesn't... yes, heavy Cav Archer stronger, but when you have imp upgrades, you're going to want to take those fights anyways. Blue will not want to take the fight. Now you see it adding up. So the other thing about Ozone's situation is plate barding armor and Cavalier take a very long time to research compared to Bracer. Red wants to drop a castle here. It's a good castle spot, right? There's a lot of resources around here. It's in the middle of the map. Controls a lot. So he's got the army he wants. So Hussar's on the way. Plate barding and also Cavalier. It's interesting he's going for Hussar. He does have a lot of gold in the bank. See, these Cav Archers are kind of untouchable right now. And then, of course, we could see Trebs from this castle. You look at Ozone's point of view. He knows the castle's on the way. He's lost some villagers here. He does have 3 relics. But can he, without access to good skirmisher, deal with this? Now, mana per Cav, guys. Mana per Cav. I want to pause for a brief second to give my opinion on this, because there's a lot of conversation about Burmese being weak in competitive play. So mana per Cav, I think it gives you +5 attack with all your Cav against archers. I think it... I almost want to check. Actually, we're going to check. Forgive me. Because I need to make sure I'm saying this right. Cav +5 attack versus archers. Okay, so this is a relevant technology that does make sense in this situation. Now, what I'd like to see from the devs, personally, a little bit of call out, I think it's a really good idea, to make this tech, which is an imp unique tech, I'd like this to be the Castle Age unique tech, and then I would like Halda, which gives elephants extra armor, to be the imp unique tech. The reason I say that is because elephants are stupid expensive. No one is going to be able to... no one's going to be able to research Halda anyways in Castle Age. So that's my preference. Because I think this technology is the devs' way of giving the Burmese a way to deal with archers that's not skirmishers. They don't want to get away from that, and I like it, because Burmese have their own identity. Now, check this out. Forget about the attack for a second. Obviously, Ozone could consider fighting this. But remember what I talked about, how these units operate, and how Cav Archers are the death ball that need to continuously be addressed. And these units here, these units can be more effective if they split up, right? So here comes Ozone. And at first he's like, okay, I'm going to dive. And we're going to get these kills. We're going to kill those Cav Archers because that sucks. I don't want to deal with that. But look at his queue. He's got a lot of Hussars queued up. And he's like, you know what? T90 always says dictate the pace of the game. What does he do if I just yeet everything to his base? So this is really smart. So as he's castling over here, this keeps him somewhat protected. He's starting to mass Trebs. So the next army could go after the castle. And he just runs in. He's like, go for it. The problem is, though, Red's got Halbs and speedy Halbs with decent upgrades already. So the pointy boys are out. So it's not really the best fight for him, but it is a fight that he will win as the Halbs trickle in. And the CA now have to come back. Kind of asks questions of Red. And Red has to address this with his Cav Archers. Now, you look over here. There's really not a lot going on at Ozone's base. He's protected his eco lead. And he's got full armor. Plus, he's got the unique tech on his Hussars. So he says, great, we know where the army is. He's cleaning that up. Let's go in here. This, like, Red played this so well. Ozone played this whole game so well. Like, what Ozone did right there is the key difference between how you can handle Cav against heavy CA or Arbalest or something like that. Going to their base will oftentimes take them away from your base. It is very situational, of course. And this is a great play. And he knew how it would flow. Because now he's got Trebs on this castle. And now Red's like, oh, crap, I got to deal with this. And to Red's credit, he's added a Laetus here. He's going to try and deal with that. And this is where it gets tricky, right? So you throw away a lot of army to take the space, but your follow-up better be good because Cav Archer Halb still hasn't been traded against. Blue still didn't get any kills against the actual army from Red. So you're hoping to be able to like take map control and build castles everywhere, and of course push this hill. But here comes Red, and Red's not finished yet. He's got 50 army, while his eco is definitely behind. He now has the superior force. And Red says, okay, well, you threw your army. It worked out in some ways, but it hurts you in other ways because now how are you going to kill this? Still, don't see a great way for Ozone to really spend his gold right now beyond maybe making Cavalier. You see he's queuing Cavalier instead of queuing Hussar now. He's hoping that he can get in close enough to these things. I like the outpost here for Ozone. I think Red needs to make a castle here. That's a very vulnerable area that could be raided. The key for Red, guys, is you got to force the issue or that's going to happen again. You don't have the castles up at home. You need Trebs. You need to have siege. So he knows this. I'm sure he knows this, but he's very vulnerable out here. As we have Parthian tactics. Oh, God. Well, Burmese don't get the second and third armor, but they do get Parthian. I mean, he's also getting heavy Cav Archers. The guy's just spending his gold. I'm not sure how I feel about that. It is interesting, right? But I think what he feels he feels the main threat is maybe going to be the pointy boys, the Halbs. And so for that reason, he's going into ranged units of his own to counter the Halbs. And with 2,700 gold, you can't complain too much as he loses a bunch of vills. We are going to see Burmese heavy Cav Archers. Trying to think of what the armor stats are going to look like. We'll see them in a second. I guess it's not the worst, right? There's a lot of civs that have worse Cav Archers. Why go into Cav Archers when the opponent has 30? Because it's awkward to know what to do with Burmese. You can't go champion against this. Arambai doesn't feel too great either. So I actually kind of like it. As long as you have the Cav in front. I don't think it's the worst. Now, I think what Ozone has done with his time and control is he's placed wonderful castles around the map. He's taking this extra gold. He's going to drop a castle here. He's got very good vision and control. But it's all going down in the middle. And what I would have liked to see from Ozone, granted this could have led to a push from Red, but I'd like to see a batch of Hussars go for a raid here. Like right now, we saw what happened before, right? He's got a solid army and he's got a solid queue. And he could always queue up more Hussars. So when you're nearing 200 pop especially, toss some units away to raid the opponent because you're going to replenish that in the middle. Red has recovered with the Vil count. However, he has 0 relics. And he has not had the confidence to ever push down this hill. And we're going to see how this Burmese Cav Archer thing pays off. Because he's made a lot of them. And I feel like as long as the stats on attack are good, and you get bloodlines, I mean, I think it's actually the best way for him to spend this gold in this situation. 7+4 attack, just like the heavy Cav Archers of the enemy. Just a little less in the way of armor, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, because Red doesn't have... He actually has similar armor because Red didn't get the final armor from the blacksmith. Okay. Anyways, here you have the Hussars. They're going to go in. They don't get the Treb there. We've just got 1 Treb from Ozone. Again, I think you're going to see the top 50 like move around a lot more. They're going to do some shiftaroos here. They're gonna force greater reactions, but these two just fighting in the middle. It's been a ridiculous battle. I think you can argue that both players have played really well. Ozone, I think, is outplayed economically. He's got 4 relics. He's got the castles, too, so I think in terms of late game, he's in the better position. That said, it's not just that. He clears it up. His army's actually looking fairly decent here. And he's still making Hussars. He's still got his Treb. And now Red's Halb choice is looking really bad. And what are you going to do if you're Red now? He's getting the final armor, which is great. But guys, you can't really justify going into skirmishers against the Cav Archers because skirmishers are fairly vulnerable against these Hussars, right? Ozone definitely has the better army composition. He will lose the Bombard Cannon. But it's like he knows. He's like, okay, I just don't want to allow him to repair this. I don't want to give him any space and time. I feel like the castles on the sides were good for Ozone, but he needed to do something with that control, right? He could lose this one. He could lose this one as well. He could maybe, now that armor is coming in, lose the fight in the middle. But it looks to me as he's fighting uphill that he just has way too many Cav Archers. 56 Cav Archers. Red's got 15. And yeah, Red's going to make the skirms. He's going to make the halbs. But skirmishers die hard when the Hussars come out. Crazy game. Crazy game. It feels very weird to see both players losing castles at the moment. It feels like both players are going to lose crucial castles. But more so... Oh, and Ozone says, no, not today. He will take out this Treb. He will defend that position. Even though he's out of stone, he should be okay. And still looks unlikely that Red can get here. Red's going to go for his own Hussars now. Lithuanians do get winged Hussar, but fairly expensive. And finally, Ozone switching the sides a little bit like he did earlier. He's got better eco balance, I'd say. He can take the 5th relic as well, which will give him lots of gold. And Red is just sitting here waiting to die at 135 pop. He's adding more farms. He's trying to do more things. Speaking of farms, we have crop rotation coming in, just in case this game goes on for another 30 minutes. That'll pay off. But watch this, man. You just... Cav Archer Hussar is just such a crazy unit comp. It's so good. Because Hussars are so good without... That you don't have to spend gold. It's such a tanky unit. 7+4 attack with full ups. Lots of armor. 95 HP. Only costs food. And then you use your wood, and you use your gold, and you make the Cav Archers. And the reason I like this game was because of the flow of it, right? Like, Ozone did lose 5 villagers early. He ended up recovering, I'd say. Red was a little reactive. After he got the kills, he didn't go out for more kills in Feudal. He kind of sat back. Gave Ozone some opportunities. But it was cool, man. We had, like, I think, really good logic from these two on how to address the Civ's weaknesses and strengths at certain times. I think both could have been slightly more assertive, you would say. But, I mean, overall, it was just a really good competitive game. It was really solid. It's a little sad. I don't think we saw the... Like, Red was definitely missing some upgrades. I'm not sure if he got tower shields. No, I didn't get tower shields. Wait, did he get tower shields? I'm trying to think. Okay, after tower shields, what armor do skirmishers have with Lithuanians? Sorry, there's so many stats and so many numbers. I'm trying to think. So they've got 8 Pierce there. I forget. God, this is so embarrassing. This is so embarrassing. I thought Hill Forts gave them... Or not Hill Forts. I thought Tower Shields gave them 10 total. Which means he would be missing because he's fully armored. Okay, chat's saying 10. Okay, so we could have had that. And that would have helped his halves as well. But I think the way he played this, right, was all surrounding the Cav Archer's early imp. And this type of a castle was very much an in-your-face, let's make Treb's castle. And he just wasn't able to get to that spot because of Ozone's raids in the early Imperial Age. Great game. Here's a look at the KD. If you didn't see it already, it was back and forth the whole time. Economically, though, Ozone with more wood, food, gold, and stone. And a quality 1v1 game. I know that Arabia can get boring for some people, but random Civ Arabia can just show you so many different things because we've got so many different civs in the game. That's probably the first time I've seen heavy Cav Archer utilized from Burmese, except for maybe a community game where people wanted to snipe kings. It worked out. Great job.